France will officially recognize the State of Palestine at a United Nations meeting next September, taking the lead for peace in the Middle East. Israel and the U.S. immediately reacted strongly, condemning it as a reward for terrorism and a threat to peace in the region. On July 24, French President Emmanuel Macron announced that France will recognize the State of Palestine in September at the United Nations General Assembly. He expressed hope that this would help bring peace to the region. French President stated on X that he had sent a letter to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas affirming France's intention to become the first major Western country to recognize the State of Palestine, in line with the country's historic commitment to a just and lasting peace in the Middle East. As the country with the largest Jewish and Muslim communities in Europe, France will become the first major Western power to take this step, potentially providing significant momentum to the Palestinian recognition movement, which has previously been primarily led by smaller nations often critical of Israel. The Palestinian Authority's Vice President, Hussein al-Sheikh, thanked French President Emmanuel Macron on social media post on Thursday. In a social media post, al-Sheikh said Macron's position reflects France's commitment to international law and its support for the Palestinian people's rights to self-determination. Meanwhile, the announcement of Macron sparked anger from Israel and is likely to get a tough response from Washington. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned France's Emmanuel Macron on a social media post on X on Thursday. He wrote, "We strongly condemn President Macron's decision to recognize a Palestinian state next to Tel Aviv in the wake of the October 7th massacre. Such a move rewards terror and risks creating another Iranian proxy, just as Gaza became. A Palestinian state in these conditions would be a launch pad to annihilate Israel, not to live in peace beside it. Let's be clear, the Palestinians do not seek a state alongside Israel, they seek a state instead of Israel." Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz came out against Macron, calling the decision a disgrace and a boost to the Hamas murderers. Israeli Knesset Chairman Amir Ohana called the announcement shameful and a betrayal. In response to this move, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Thursday, July 24, that Washington rejected French President Macron's plan to recognize a Palestinian state. In a post on X, Rubio said, "This reckless decision only serves Hamas propaganda and sets back peace." Previously, Washington's ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, said in June he did not think an independent Palestinian state remained a U.S. foreign policy goal. At the end of May, a U.S.-backed organization was set to begin operations in Gaza Strip to oversee a new aid distribution model in the Palestinian territory. But the United Nations stated that the plan was neither fair nor neutral, and they would not participate. Aid distribution in Gaza will be overseen by the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Fund, established in February in Switzerland, according to the Geneva Commercial Registry.
The current scheme that is proposed, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, appears to be an attempt for Israel to be able to supply just enough humanitarian aid to keep individuals alive who are not in any way associated with Hamas, and to prevent Hamas from getting any access to any relief food at all. So the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has literally been started from scratch in a matter of days. The idea came from Israel. It has been taken over by the United States. It appears that it will be run by the private sector, including private military contractors. It's not yet clear who will fund it. It's been widely criticized by professional humanitarians because of its limited reach, because of the limited nature of the supplies that it is going to provide. And it is certainly better than nothing. Under the current situation, it is likely that Gaza will descend into outright famine, outright mass starvation within a matter of days.
According to a Gaza Humanitarian Foundation document circulated within the aid community earlier this month, the fund will initially operate from 4 secure distribution sites capable of serving 300,000 people each with food, water, and hygiene kits. Israeli officials stated that these centers will be located in southern Gaza. The United Nations stated that the U.S.-backed distribution plan does not meet their long-standing principles of fairness, neutrality, and independence. The head of UNAID, Tom Fletcher, said that time should not be wasted on this alternative proposal. In a press conference at the Security Council, he explained the flaws in the Israeli-initiated plan. He argued that the plan forces further displacement of people, putting thousands at risk. Additionally, it only allows aid to reach a portion of Gaza, leaving many urgent needs unaddressed. He also emphasized that the plan makes aid delivery dependent on political and military objectives, turning hunger into a bargaining tool.
The proposed scheme under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation provides less. It will have, in the first phase, about 4 distribution centers, down from 400. In the second phase, it may expand that number. The ration that they are providing is less than the humanitarian ration provided by the United Nations. None of the specialized services, such as supplementary therapeutic feeding for malnourished children, are part of this package. These are all the reasons why the United Nations and most professional humanitarians are very critical of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation scheme.
If there is a reduction in the number of sites where people can access assistance, that would effectively reduce or exclude the most vulnerable people in Gaza from accessing aid. How are the elderly who have been starved supposed to walk miles and miles to access humanitarian assistance? How are children who have no parents supposed to enter what may be militarized zones to collect assistance? How are people who have been injured, who are disabled, supposed to go long distances to access assistance? That's not feasible. That's not practical. In addition to that, humanitarian assistance is only humanitarian when it's delivered independent from political and military objectives.
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is an attempt to provide a type of relief program that we might call surveillance humanitarianism. Israel has very good intelligence about all the individuals in Gaza, and it will screen them, and it will use sophisticated face recognition technology to make sure only those individuals it has screened and targeted are able to access the food. And the rations that it is intending to provide will be just enough to provide one family for 1 week on a minimum ration. And that should, if it works, be enough to ensure that no food goes to Hamas operatives.
Israel halted all aid shipments to Gaza on March 2nd after accusing Hamas of stealing aid, a claim denied by Palestinian militants, and demanded the release of all remaining hostages taken during an attack on Israel in October 2023 that killed 1,200 people, according to Israeli statistics. That attack triggered a war which Gaza authorities say has killed 59,000 people.
The allegation, the claim that Hamas is stealing and diverting aid and prospering from aid has been made since the beginning of this recent war. The Biden administration investigated this, and there was no evidence of diversion at scale that they were able to confirm.
In early April, Israel proposed what it described as a structured oversight and aid entry mechanism for Gaza. This was quickly rejected by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who said it risked further control and cruel restriction of aid down to the last calorie and grain of flour. Since then, pressure has mounted on Israel to allow aid shipments to resume. A global hunger monitoring organization warned last week that 500,000 people, about a quarter of the region's population, are facing famine, and U.S. President Donald Trump acknowledged that a lot of people are starving in Gaza.
We're going to help the people of Gaza get some food. People are starving, and we're going to help them get some food. A lot of people are making it very, very bad. If you look, Hamas is making it impossible because they're taking everything that's brought in. But we're going to help the people of Gaza because they're being treated very badly by Hamas. Thank you very much.
Amid the deadlock over Israel's plan, Washington backed the newly established GHF to oversee aid distribution. The GHF then announced last week that it aims to begin operations in Gaza by the end of May. Meanwhile, Israel has allowed limited aid shipments to resume under the current distribution model, with 5 trucks entering Gaza on Monday, which the head of UNAID described as a drop in the ocean. The United Nations said on Tuesday that it had received Israel's approval for approximately 100 additional aid trucks to enter Gaza. The current aid distribution plan in Gaza has been described by the United Nations as an opportunistic effort, facing numerous obstacles such as Israel's military operations, access restrictions, and looting by armed groups. Nevertheless, according to the UN, the aid distribution system is still operational. This was most evident during a 2-month ceasefire period, which ended in mid-March after Israel abandoned the agreement. Under the process, Israel inspects and approves aid shipments before transferring them to the Gaza side. There, the United Nations receives and distributes them. Although the plan has been criticized by some humanitarian organizations for its limited scope and the nature of the aid items, some experts argue that it remains more useful than having nothing at all.